Hello, you're watching TVP World News. I'm Jonasz Lewicki. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk is warning that the conflict between Iran and Israel is moving toward a full-scale war with potentially devastating consequences. Tusk urged European leaders and the United States to help prevent further escalation.
The confrontation between Israel and Iran is moving towards a regular war in the region that may destabilize the whole world. Since World War II, we haven't been so close to a global conflict. Europe and the US must unite their efforts to stop further escalation. It is still not too late.
Despite calls from the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, as well as from the United Nations to de-escalate the conflict, Israel and Iran continue to exchange blows in the wake of Israel's attack on Iranian nuclear facilities earlier this Friday. According to CNN, Iran has vowed a crushing response, adding that regional bases of any country providing support to Israel could find themselves the target for retaliation. Air raid warnings sounded across Israel as Iran launched successive waves of missiles at the country. Israeli media say that at least 3 people have been killed and dozens were injured. A high-rise building was hit in central Tel Aviv, and a residential block in the city of Ramat Gan was destroyed. The Israeli military says rescue workers are responding at locations across the country where fallen projectiles have been reported. In Iran, local media reported several explosions in the capital, Tehran. Flames were seen at Tehran's Mehrabad airport, where military aircraft are also stationed. Iran's assaults were in response to Israeli attacks on Iran early on Friday against army commanders, nuclear research sites, and scientists, as well as military targets. In justification for its attacks, Israel stated that Iran came dangerously close to developing a nuclear weapon. And with Iranian missiles now raining down on Israel, some of the projectiles have managed to slip through Israel's state-of-the-art air defenses. Speaking to the media, Israeli residents in the city of Tel Aviv have described the impact of Iranian strikes on their neighborhood.
I don't know, we just got the Amber Alert. We ran to the parking lot, -5, so five floors below the ground. We have a protective room in the apartment, but we decided to just stay low. Like after a few minutes, we just heard a very big explosion. Everything was shaking, smoke, dust, everything was all over the place. I thought it's smoke, and I'm getting suffocated. So I tried to go up. I opened the door in the ground floor, and I just saw shattered glass, all of debris around.
The explosion was so big, I knew immediately it was right in this building because it was so huge. For me, it was clear that one of these 2 buildings got a direct hit. Really scary moments. I really hope everyone's fine.
Now I don't feel well. I'm hurting physically, mentally. I'm shivering. When it happens, we were strong. We did whatever it takes to survive. We did whatever it takes to help people. In Israel, you're used to terror. It just depends who's going to get it this time. And this time it was me. When it comes to those kind of situations, I do what you need to do.
Following Israeli strikes on key Iranian nuclear infrastructure on Friday, head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, revealed Iran's uranium enrichment facility in the city of Natanz had suffered major damage. He went on to say, though, that there was no imminent danger to the people living in the vicinity of the site.
At Natanz, the above-ground part of the pilot fuel enrichment plant, where Iran was producing uranium enriched up to 60% uranium-235, has been destroyed. Electricity infrastructure at the facility, an electrical substation, main electric power supply building, emergency power supply, and backup generators have also been destroyed. There is no indication of a physical attack on the underground cascade hall containing part of the pilot fuel enrichment plant and the main fuel enrichment plant. However, the loss of power to the cascade may have damaged the centrifuges there. The level of radioactivity outside the Natanz site has remained unchanged and at normal levels, indicating no external radiological impact to the population or the environment from this event.
Ukraine's main internal security agency, the SBU, has released a video showing the bodies of dead Ukrainian soldiers being retrieved from Russia. The footage shows people wearing white protective uniforms with a logo of the International Committee of the Red Cross carrying the bodies out of a cargo train. The SBU had earlier stated it was working towards the return of the bodies of 1,200 Ukrainian soldiers. The transfer forms part of a major deal with Russia to exchange both captives and the dead, the Ukrainian agency said in a statement. Poland must be more attentive in its observation of Russian aircraft that violate its airspace, as they are not doing so without reason, said Oleksiy Reznikov, former Ukrainian defense minister, in an exclusive interview for TVP World at the Globsec Security Forum in Prague.
I'm not surprised because I discussed with a former foreign minister from Estonia. He told the same story. Then Russians fighter jets escorting the vessels in the Baltic Sea. So Russia trying to provocate their neighbors and watching for their reaction. So they trying to find the way how they will provide their real aggression. That's why you have to be more, in Poland, I mean, you have to be more attentive and you see what they done and for what reason. But because it's not just some case like, no. It's something, there's something preparing.
Defense, security and questions of European enlargement. Those were the dominant themes which emerged during the Globsec Forum in Prague. As the event wraps up, our defense correspondent provides us with key takeaways.
As well, when 72 hours at the Globsec Forum here in Prague wrap up, one thing is clear: defense and security are set to remain on top of Europe's agenda in terms of challenges. Among some of the key challenges which have been emphasized by a number of speakers are the supply chains, as well as funding and financing, as well as some of the policies which will be needed to bolster European defense capabilities. One of those was drone production, which was actually pointed out by the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky during his keynote speech earlier this week, where he said Europe needs to significantly step up its drone production capabilities akin to what Ukraine has had. And in his approximation, that should be an approximate 40% increase. Additionally, amongst other challenges discussed over the course of this forum, EU expansion, particularly into the Western Balkan region, has been on top of the agenda, with President of Serbia Alexander Vučić highlighting that one of the key challenges standing in the way of countries like Serbia to join the EU was the rule of law. The statement came yesterday, which was rather unexpected, particularly as he also referred to the ongoing domestic situation with the ongoing student protests, which have been a significant challenge to his government over the recent months. Finally, however, despite the challenges of EU expansion and policies, one thing has become clear, and that is that the biggest challenge to the safety and security of Europe collectively is the ongoing war in Ukraine, as well as the imposing threat of Vladimir Putin's Russia. To that end, it is clear that Europe must do everything it can and do it rapidly in order to bolster its defense and security collectively. From Prague, for TVP World, Zuzanna Jurek.
The United States is against a G7 proposal to reduce the price cap on Russian oil, according to the Bloomberg news agency. The cap was introduced back in December 2022 to help limit Moscow's ability to finance its war against Ukraine. It prevents Western companies from shipping, insuring or otherwise servicing Russian oil sold above $60 per barrel. The European Union and Great Britain have been pushing to reduce this to $45 per barrel. Earlier this year, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent declined to support a similar effort. according to Bloomberg, as the group of 7 leaders prepare to meet in Canada on Sunday. The United States continues to resist reducing the price cap. We are in a very difficult moment economically. Head of the opposition Progressive Slovakia party, Michal Šimečka, said in an exclusive interview for TVP World on the sidelines of the Globsec forum in Prague. The Slovakian MP went on to caution that the country's pro-Russian Prime Minister Robert Fico might seek to divert the voters' attention from Slovakia's economic woes with his international mishaps.
What we have to understand as well about the Slovak situation is that we are in a very difficult moment economically. There are very slow economic growth, almost none, rising prices, years of neglected sectors such as infrastructure, education, healthcare. So I would say on the whole, the Slovak voters and the population is disappointed with its leadership and has been for some time. And it's been Mr. Fico, the current Prime Minister, who has been in power for the most. And what I fear is that the government will likely use these kinds of misadventures in foreign policy to distract from its domestic problems and from the fact that they cannot really and don't know how to address the real economic problems that our country is facing.
On the occasion of the Equality Parade in the Polish capital, Warsaw, Michał Suchora, spokesperson for the Greens, a junior partner in the ruling coalition, told TVP World that Poland has become a hub for the refugees of the LGBT+ community from Belarus and Ukraine.
Ukrainian government seems to be much more progressive than Polish one, even though the war is still on. What I meant is that Warsaw and other big Polish cities have become shelter for LGBT community, Ukrainian LGBT community. This is what I meant. And now we will face it today during the Warsaw Pride. You will be surprised how many Ukrainians and Free Belarus flags will appear at the Gay Pride.
The Georgian regime has fined former Georgian President Salome Zurabishvili and sentenced a young anti-government activist to 4.5 years in prison for supposedly assaulting police officers at a protest last year. Zurabishvili was slapped with a fine of nearly $2,000 for taking part in a protest dubbed Mothers' March, a demonstration of mothers of detained anti-government activists, which was held back in March. Her fine coincided with a 4.5-year imprisonment sentence handed down to a 21-year-old activist, Mate Devidze, which sparked a brawl outside the courthouse in the Georgian capital Tbilisi. Zurabishvili, who was present in court at the time of the verdict, denounced the sentence as, and I quote, a disgrace for Georgia. The ruling pro-Russian Georgian Dream Party has been cracking down on mass protests that broke out after the disputed election in late October. Is raising defense spending to 3% of GDP by the year 2030 enough, or is the Czech Republic lagging behind? Diplomat Petr Kolar spoke more about this issue with TVP World at the Globsec forum in Prague.
3%, 5%, 2%, I don't think that this is something what should prevail. We should really concentrate on ways how to intelligently finance our defense, how to do it effectively, how we can cooperate, what we can do together. European Union has no army, but it has resources, it has money. So military industry is the platform where European Union should really invest. The threat from Russia is imminent and is real. It's not just a ghost. It is a real problem we have to face and take seriously. And I believe that defense, this is something what all people should support. Otherwise, you could be quite easily swallowed as a victim of a predator, which is having quite a clear appetite to grow.
And that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and please stay with us here on TVP World.